What's going on, everyone? Vega here for Serpent Tech, and in this video I want to go over an update. If you have an Apollo 2, I recommend updating your firmware or software. We'll show you how to do that in today's video. But Apollo is from FutureBit, and they give us options as far as nano miners or micro miners is what I call them, to solo mine Bitcoin. It is a lottery miner, right? The chances of you hitting a Bitcoin block are slim, but it is out there. So I've been rocking some of the OG Apollo 1s for quite a while until Lightning took them out, and I've been rocking the Apollo 2, which is very quiet, does about 7 terahash at 240-ish watts. The loudest thing you're hearing is all my machines over here, so that's not the noise you're hearing. This thing does get loud when it first boots up, but after that quiets down and runs very smooth. Don't keep it on the carpet. It is being suspended because there's airflow trying to come in from the bottom and then through the heat sink and then out towards the back here. And this is just one of my favorite miners. So let's switch over to the computer now and go over the update process. And I always recommend keeping your devices up to date, whether it's the BitAxe, the NerdAxe, the Apollo miners, anything. Keep the firmware up to date because there could be security vulnerabilities, and those patches will fix it. And now switched over to the computer. Apollo 2 just looks or reminds me of a bigger like Mac Mini, if any of you guys remember those. Even the newer Mac Mini is just so much smaller. So the Apollo 2 is bigger compared to its predecessor. But we'll get into all this in a minute, including the updates. To just update the FutureBit Apollo, you're going to need to identify the IP. So I use Angry IP Scanner. I use my router. You just need to go to IP. And when you log into it in the upper right, you'll see the power button says there's an update, right? It's yellow, letting you know there is an update. And then you can see we're on version 2.0.5, and the latest release is 2.0.6. By clicking it, it will automatically start updating, saying that the newest version is available. It updates some bugs and some features, take about 15 to 30 minutes. It is going to take a second. I did get stuck, but basically I just let it ride. And then I access the machine via a different browser tab or session. And then it started moving into updating, installing, all that good stuff. And you can see behind the screen, because it does stop the miner, when you start seeing the hash rate of the miner start to come back, that means it's pretty good to go. Oh, 7.2 terahash, 7.5 terahash at 260, but 7.7 terahash at 240 if you can manually tune it. So real quick update. Nothing too crazy. It's built right into the operating system. You can see we're on the latest version now, and we're good to go. I recommend doing that because what I was experiencing before, you see how you see the hash rate right here, is the machine will still be mining, but the UI would bug out. And I talked to the FutureBit team about that, like, hey, it says my miner is not online, but it is online. I could see it at the pool, and I could see it online, but it's just not showing in the UI, the user interface that you go to when you log into the IP. So they told me they were working on it, and then here's the update. So redesigned the solar miner page, which is the page that you can go to. Matter of fact, let's go to the machine real quick. And if you go to miner, you could see we got a couple different options under settings that either we can mine to a pool, which is what we're doing. We could select a pool. I chose custom, and I'm using the doctor's pool, but then there's solo mining mode. If I turn that on, that's a whole new thing, and I really like it because it gives you some pretty good stats. It's actually, I believe, in collaboration with the doctor, which I'll show you what that stats page looks like here in just a sec. It looks something like this, right? Not quite. Their dashboard's a little bit more refined, but you know, basically you're just getting basic information: 1-day hash rate, 7-day hash rate, your best share. You can see your miners online, all that good stuff. So pretty cool, but it's built in right into the Apollo operating system. So when you go to overview or miner, you get to see what are your chances of hitting a block, which we can see that right here. Odds of finding a block, very, 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 very low. Even with 11 terahash, with all my little BitAxes, NerdAxes, Apollos, and the Avalon Nano. Other updates, obviously, is easy to keep track of multiple miners and wallets mining on a solo pool. So if I connect multiple miners, which I will be showing you in a future video, so get subscribed for that. Stats are organized by individual wallet address. Each address can have multiple workers. Node connection count has been updated or upped to 64. Originally, if we went to node, it was 32. 32 was the max. So now we can have 64. So that's good to see. Pesky 32-bit and GraphQL errors have finally been squashed. So that was the errors I was telling you about, where I go to my miner or my overview and it says 0, or there would be an error at the top that couldn't get data, couldn't query the data from the miner. And so the miner again was online, but it just wasn't showing it. So small number of users were being affected by that. I was one of them. They fixed that. UI improvements, especially for small format screens. So if I wasn't on a computer and I was on my mobile phone, a little bit more optimizations there. Improve reliability of the node startup during boot, which should reduce connection refuse, which I was getting on a few. When the node would connect to a few connections, there would be some errors. That's been updated, and then multiple UI fixes and backend improvements. So good job. And you can, if you wanted to, right? I came up here, I clicked the power button as I showed you, and I just clicked the red dot where it said 2.05, and it automatically started updating. But if you wanted to, if you had issues, you can download straight from the GitHub. I'll link it to you. But there's some for the legacy Apollo 1 miners, but you need to identify your miner, and their support tab does have some pretty good information to how to identify that, so on and so forth. So make sure you follow the instructions. I showed you how to do that in a previous video, but if you need help, you know, reach out. The FutureBit Apollo team is pretty cool, and yeah, update your Apollo 1s and Apollo 2s to new UI, and you should be good to go, as well as enjoy the improvements that the team has made. So thank you, FutureBit team, for doing this. I look forward to future optimizations and improvements overall, and I can't wait to see how you know, Bitcoin changes in the future. I love when these small miners come out, because then we're able to utilize them and really take advantage of it. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, this unlikely I'll hit a Bitcoin block, but I'm still gonna risk it. It's better chances than some of the other ones out there. Not saying you should do it. I do pool mine with my big boy ASICs, but, and again, in the future video, I'm going to show you how to point my big boy ASICs to this one node, so that way I can solo mine through my own local node on my network, which will be very interesting. So stay tuned for that. It's probably going to be a minute, but yeah, Apollo 2, really sleek, beautiful, can sit on someone's desk if you got a nice little setup, office or whatever, not on someone's ground like my house. Again, it is elevated. Do not put it on the carpet, not only because of static electricity, but because that's where it's getting its airflow. And they got some Founders Edition models, standard models, and full node. I do have the full node. If you got the standard model, it will only mine, not sync the node or anything like that. You won't have a node or anything to do to utilize on it. So I got the full node, but you can combine even the legacy standard nodes to the Apollo 2. I just, all of mine are dead because, you know, Lightning sucks. But that's going to do it for today's video. Check out the latest update from the FutureBit team, 2.0.6. Either update directly through the website by going to the IP of your machine, or go and grab it off of their GitHub. Make sure you identify, if you are installing on the legacy machine, make sure you identify the correct machine and the correct firmware for your machine. Follow that guide, or check out my previous video on how to identify that. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day.